Good evening, everybody. Got some Bureau and Bovine Divine action in the background here. I'll be waiting just a little bit longer because I'll probably wait until the uptime hits 10 minutes for about 3 minutes, but I'll at least be chilling in here. There's probably not a lot of people in here right now, but if you are in here, welcome. Point of today's stream, it'll probably be really brief, but I figure I would disclose the results of the survey that was posted at an announcement earlier this week regarding like changes to tournaments. Also, I love how the random gave me the like title screen boot up sound. Shouts to this playlist. I'll probably turn it down a little bit. I don't need the music too cranking right now. See, I'll pause it just for a second. There we go. It's nice to have it louder for actual competition, but for now we'll be chilling. Hope everyone's been having a good week so far. It is our off week for the tournament series, though, so everyone gets a little bit of a relax this week. Yoshi, I'm wrong, dude. I mean, that wouldn't be the first time. I haven't seen most of the results either. Well, I've seen like the couple ones at the top just because they're at the page, but I actually haven't checked it the whole time when it's been up, so it'll be a surprise to me too. I imagine we're not going to have too much content to talk about. I just have a couple bullet points, and I'm mostly here to answer any questions if anyone has them. Can we introduce a new tournament with people rated between my rating and my rating called the Super Ultra Expert Tournament? That's a good idea, Foxy. But the Super Ultra Expert Tournament would be a bad name for it because you're in bronze tier. So we probably shouldn't call it that. Maybe we'll call it like the Super Ultra Friendly Beginner just started playing the game tournament. I'm open to ideas for the name though if you want, because it sounds like a great idea, personally. True. I mean, you're memeing, but you're like not even wrong about it though. As in, like, the representation of the expert tournament has actually been the smallest the past 2 months, whereas in the past, I don't think it's ever been like the smallest tournament, which is maybe, I don't think it's a bad thing, because entrant count really hasn't changed too much for the highest level of play, but the lower levels have just raised tremendously these past 2 months. So I think the big thing there is we do need to figure out how to get a lot of the top level players back into tournament form, or maybe a lot of people are just worn out. I don't know. But what, we had like 20 for novice, or like 20 at least signed up, but we still had like a good chunk actually play, which is pretty cool. Like, you'll definitely have people who sign up and either aren't feeling up to it the day of or forgot about it or things like that. So to still see like a good 80% show up, it's not too bad at all. Anyways, I guess I should stop talking. There's no real guideline for this stream though. Anytime you guys have a question, I'll try to be looking at the chat the whole time. We'll just go through one by one. What's on the form? Basically, there's been a lot of discussion the first 2 months, and I wanted to take the time to like try to hear people out, and I know the formats haven't been perfect in the first place, so I've just been trying to essentially see what we could do to improve the tournament experience as much as we can. So before I transition over to this, because I have monitor capture, I don't want to screw things up. Let me move my chat over to this window. Let me full screen. Scrolled all the way up. Alright, let's do this. Let's hop right into it. Okay. So, we had 16 people submit responses to this, which was pretty cool. I didn't expect that much, but I'm always happy for people that will help out and submit what they can. But we'll kind of just go one by one. A lot of the things at the beginning are pretty straightforward. First, I wanted to gauge the rating, and we might look at some individuals here too, so I can see how it corresponds with different ratings and see if there's maybe a trend between, you know, like the upper diamond or the lower silver and gold players on how they think. Oh, 1 second. Oh. But we got a pretty good spread right here. It makes sense that the diamond range has the most, because they seem like the most active players in the community right now. Yes, yes. If you are here and you're watching this, you have any questions, anything that's going on, shout at any time. Feel free to interrupt me. I'll take my time to answer any questions, any comments, any ideas. Everything's game here. All right. So our first big question, a general one. No need for too much explanation here. How satisfied have you been with the new tournament format so far? Kind of surprising here. Not a single one voted 1 or 2, which is kind of, you know, sometimes there are people that didn't have a good experience, but I think most people are just happy that these tournaments exist. So I don't think anyone is like too dissatisfied. We definitely have some mixed reception. A lot of people are liking it. A lot of people really like it, but not quite up there. And then some average ones here. And I think that's true because we have had a lot of criticism here and there with like some rules being outdated and maybe formats taking a little bit too long in some places and whatnot. Definitely can see that. But I'm glad to see the overall consensus is people have been enjoying the tournament formats. Okay, next question. Do you like the change from Swiss to round robin for the expert division? 1 second. Sorry, guys. Okay, sorry about that, guys. 80% in favor of this, 20% no. I'm glad people have liked that. And I'm definitely one of the people who made that push in the first place because I think it's better for time overall for it. And I think it's better for seedings in some sense. The way you do seedings to like put people in groups, I mean, it depends on who's running it. I know they've been doing strictly in-game ratings for, I think, the past 2 expert tournaments. So if your rating's not, it's maybe lower than it should be, that could mess a little bit with the seating there, which I could understand. I always like to put a little bit of a personal influence on it so that, you know, someone who hasn't been playing as much or had a bad day might be rating higher. Because we've had several people, you know. I mean, I'll use myself for an instance. I think I was at plat level when last tournament started and ended up getting 3rd place at it. But there's several other cases of that too. Like, I mean, Mato was probably like that in both cases because he got 2nd place in the most recent tournament. Did he get 3rd in the January tournament too? Shouts to Mato. He has been killing it this year. But I'm glad people are enjoying it. I think this is going to be a format we're going to stick with for the future. So, cool. Let's move on. Do you think the intermediate division should adopt the same structure as the expert division? Did I disconnect from chat, by the way? I might have missed some messages. It just said, welcome to the chat room. Sorry if I did miss some stuff. Dude, Mato and Rui actually have been popping off this year. Much respect to their grinds. And you know what? I'm shouting out to everybody because there are a lot of people in the gold and silver division that have been making leaps and bounds too. I know Shoal Soul's like, I think he's picked up like 100 or 200 elo in the past couple of months. So props to everyone who's been putting in the work and grinding. I asked this one specifically for the intermediate division because I know people are mixed on having double elim for intermediate. It's a nice little open bracket and not commit a bunch of time to it. But if it happens to be not a lot of people, the intermediate division could be a shorter tournament. But I like the pacing of it because we get like all top 8 usually on stream. And so it still is like a longer showcase. It's just less overall matches are kind of being played. So it's cool for pacing. Maybe not for, getting what we usually try to get people 5 matches, 4 to 5 to 6 matches for a tournament. So this one is kind of split. A no for this right now. Something to give a thought to. We're definitely not going to be changing anything immediately for like the next month or two. But I think there's always going to be some discussion to be had to see how we can alter some of these formats in the future. All right, James says, I think shorter is better than longer. If you don't get enough games, people are still usually online to play more. That is true. And I'm glad like the tournaments are there to at least grab a group of people so that, you don't have to commit too long to it, but it's still bringing in a group of people online that will play the game. And like you said, you get eliminated, you can just find someone else to play with. Maybe another person who got eliminated that you didn't get a chance to play with during that tournament. But yeah, double elim, it will definitely be staying for a couple months, if not for even the entire year. Who knows? I think that, like I said, there's always ideas that float around in there, so you never know. Double limb is way longer, Yoshi. It depends. Like, for you, it would be because you go to like 10 to 15 minutes for your games. But for intermediate, it might be a little bit different when games average, around 1 to 3 minutes, I would say. Because there are still a lot of level 10 matches for like plat and intermediate, or plat, diamond, gold, that range. Double elim with no Swiss or round robin. Yeah, it's like we wanted that one to be simple. Just a really inviting one. Standard double elim. I think that's what we liked it. But yeah, if the intermediate were to switch in the future, it would probably either like mimic the expert or the novice one. But I kind of like them each having their unique twist, It kind of fits the mindsets of each players in that group. All right. Currently, you need a certain role to view all tournament channels. Do you think all tournament channels should be public by default? We have a whopping 93% saying yes and only one person saying no. So this one seems to be pretty unanimous. I actually did check this one earlier in the week and it was completely unanimous. So someone who voted late is a little bit of the outlier here. But I put this in because it's been brought up a little bit, especially people who are joining a tournament for the first time and might not have the tournament channels available to them. In my opinion on this topic, I think it's definitely fine, especially with categories being a thing on Discord now where you can easily just minimize it and then you don't have to worry about all the channels in there. But yeah, Yoshi Intermediate's played at 8 and 10, so it's our middle ranking right now. Currently, it's set at you can't be above 1725, I think, to enter Intermediate. Foxy says, I was thinking we can make channels opt out rather than opt in. That is a pretty good idea. I don't think I've really thought of it that way, but it is nice for people, you don't have to sift through something to try to find and view the channels. But if you are sick of them and the channels being there from default, you can just click a button to do it. I do like that idea a lot. Razor says, 1724 for the cap, though I think intermediate should be 1699 and below. That is a very good point, which we will be getting a little bit later with some of the thresholds for the ratings, because you notice a lot of diamond players, with how close the talent is, can easily dip like low 1700s or even high 1600s depending on the day. It is really hard to talk about like what the cap for some ratings should be, or what players should join each tournament and whatnot. It is really hard to justify it, but it's cool to see everyone's output on it. You could farm one person Domo for it. I think, like, specifically, I'm not trying to call someone out, but I believe there's a player who's sitting high 1700 or low 1800, and I think they play casual matches with a friend most of the time now. That doesn't seem like their rank. But if someone's tanking their rank on purpose too, there's always a mod that could overturn and say, all right, you shouldn't be in this division despite your ranking being this low. The channels were hidden in the first place, James, just, I guess, because people complained in the past. I really couldn't tell you why. It might have been before categories were a thing on Twitch too, so it was way harder to hide channels. So maybe it's stuck around since then. I'm not 100% sure on that though. If you farm only one person, you should automatically get last seed. Yoshi, looks like you're getting last seed next tournament you join since you farmed me 100 to 1. Anyways, let's move on because there's not much to say about this one here. I could just talk forever about just some random stuff here and not make any progress. Do you think the thresholds to join the novice tournament should be adjusted? So I should mention at a point, we should go back to the questionnaire here. There's a little preface here. I'll just read it out loud here. Currently, there has been some discussion to adjust some ratings and restrictions to join certain tournaments. I always hate to not allow certain people to join, but it's always a big conversation to make events an even playing field. Currently, the restrictions are as followed, and I won't read out all this, but you guys know: novice, gold and lower, intermediate, gold to platinum, but no restrictions, expert, diamond and higher, but no restrictions. So I laid out that information, and a lot of these questions below this are themed to that paragraph, essentially, so keep that in mind. See, maybe I don't even know. Here's my thing when it comes to, like, people who want to join that. Maybe you shouldn't have, like, the very new members ruin the pacing of a top tournament, but at least my personal view of it is, if someone wants to participate, and as long as they're not destroying too much of the integrity of the competition, it should be fine. I think it depends who the person is, but we'll talk about that in a second. Where are we? Right here? Oh yeah, do you think the thresholds to join the novice tournament should be adjusted? I threw this out in the first place because I noticed that, you know, the only thing that's different from novice to intermediate was it included platinum, which was only 150 elo up, so it seems like the littlest change, whereas like expert includes like 400 elo above that, and then novice ranges from what people are in like the 900s, so that goes from like 600 elo spanning. So I posed that, but it seems a lot of people like it because there are a good amount of people in that plat range, so that makes sense. And I think gold and silver are pretty competitive with each other, so it's probably not a bad thing to have them in the same division there. Yeah, Razor is right. That is set in the rules. Any new players with no set rank cannot participate. It's basically, if it's a new player and they're just joining out of the blue without like anyone knowing anything about them, that's pretty much, I guess, what it's set for. But if it's someone who has been playing but just doesn't have a rank yet, I believe a mod could just still say, all right, let me see your skill level. If I think you're good enough for this division, I'll put you in. But keep that in mind. The rules are going to be altered a little bit. I think they're pretty much going to be around the same guidelines there. But I think we have something good going because we're having unique people for each of the divisions. There's a little bit of an overlap between novice and intermediate, but I think it's good enough. Did the Steam pop-up happen down there? I didn't even notice. Nice. Everyone add me to their friends list, dude. Thank you, guys. I'll make sure to block all you guys later. Thank you. Thank you. That's too funny. Actually, give me 1 second. I'm going to ruin y'all's fun. Dude. And I'm exiting out of Steam. Sucks to suck, guys. Alright, we're back. Anyways. That was pretty funny. I mean, you guys' thoughts on this. I threw this out of the blue. I didn't even discuss this. I only did it because if I didn't add some borderline diamond players during intermediate this month, it pretty much would have been the same bracket. I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing, but I wanted to include some people in it. We'll talk about, like, I probably shouldn't have, but for that just very reason of the same people. We'll make it a little bit more, not stricter, but we'll make it more clear when people can join and when people can't. Anyways. Ooh, we got an even one here. If someone hits a rank milestone but loses that rank before a tournament, should they be allowed to participate in the tournament still? 50% yes and 50% no. I think this was the biggest topic probably leading up to this. Because this is a really... First off, it's really tough to enforce when we can't, like, really tell when someone hit a peak elo or how long they've been at it, besides, like, people requesting ranks in the Discord channel. But you can definitely, like, someone who hit diamond but maybe ranked down, like, 50 points or in platinum a couple days before a tournament. That's when, you gotta draw the fine line and not let them participate? Or since they're in plat still, do you let them participate? Because I'd be very interested to hear you guys' takes on it. It's like, man, I don't know. I always judge, like, kind of the field that's in there. And maybe, like, previous past performances that they've had. I know Foxy in one of our channels talked about, like, if someone finished so high in the expert tournament, then they probably shouldn't be joining the intermediate, even if they happen to fall in that elo somehow. Alright, Razor says, the problem with letting them participate is that they have a chance to pretty much clinch the tournament. Feel like the hard cutoffs might be a bit much. So, it's more of, like, the fine line of trying to avoid people abusing it and, like, just farming tournament wins versus, like, don't be too harsh if someone is on the bubble there, if that's what I'm reading basically from Lunar's spot. Like, you know, they're on the border of this. If they join the expert tournament, they might get trounced, but then they don't have a chance to participate in any other tournament. I guess that's the way you can look at it there. That's pretty much what I've been doing, James, was mod's discretion to be like, all right, is this okay or is this not? You use the ratings as kind of a guideline. And if you're like, well, if this person's, like, way above the skill level, maybe not. Foxy said the intention is that the pool of players between tournaments should be mostly disjoint. So each person in the Discord has an intended tournament to enter. Pretty much. I mean, that was what was supposed to happen. Even though we don't discourage people from joining multiple tournaments, but these were made to pretty much be like, all right, what's your rank? and here's the tournament that's the best fit for you. So exactly right on that, Foxy. Razor, I wouldn't say Ultra wiped everyone, because he did have to come from losers and had some close sets, but I would agree with you with the people who were, like, not around his rank for sure. And that was another case of he was technically in Plat at that time. I believe that tournament happened, even though he has been in Diamond before. Yeah, Morikondo was also in there. Ultra was there. Example, I let Decrates in the past one, who actually ended up getting third in it, which shocked me a little bit. And I believe, it was Rui and Lean in the finals? Pardon me, I do not remember who won that tournament. But this is one I think that's always going to have a discussion probably month by month to see what is the best solution here without, giving people, like, what am I trying to say? Ooh. Get distracted by the music. Just making it fair and balanced and making sure everyone has a fun time and not getting smashed by, like, someone who shouldn't clearly belong in there. Yeah, Decibel has been kind of destroying in the expert. I will say with that. But we're definitely not going to bar Decibel ever from the tournament. That would just be pretty bad. But I think I'll talk with a lot of the tournament mods here, and you guys can feel free to always bring up stuff around this. And since it's like kind of the tournament I'm in charge of, because the intermediate's probably going to be the one with the most controversy most of the time, I'll keep an eye on it, and it'll mostly be like a mod decision. But I'll try to keep an eye on ranks and be the most fair that I can see, because I don't think there's a correct answer to this. That's why it's split 50-50 right now. Domo, I believe you have to complete 50 matches. I'm sure James can give you a correct answer on when you get your rank for it. Foxy said at some level, we also need to remember that we're still a small community. We'll lay out rules for intended behavior, but we're not going to be able to enforce everything 100%. We have to rely on the honor system to the extent. That's exactly what it is, too, because, like, keeping an eye on most things, like, you could implement a lot of stuff to like track it. Like, I've thought about asking, James or Showsoul to be like, is there a way to implement like, I don't know, just a tracker for the game that you can view someone's profile to see where their elo has been, like, on a day-to-day basis, where a peak was, so you can see just like a graph how they've been going throughout the months. But, that adds a lot more work, and it's probably not necessary. It's cool. But why would I push that work on them when they could be working on much better features for the games? And it would certainly help in this kind of circumstance like that. But, yeah, I think Foxy says it right there. We are a smaller community, and it's kind of an honor system at the end of the day when, this isn't no one's job or anything. Everyone's, volunteering their free time to help out, to play and enjoy and have fun. It shouldn't be too hard to get you ranked, Domo. I mean, there are plenty of, like, unique daily players even. Like, I think the player base is pretty healthy, even for just ranked matches right now. And covered around all ranks, besides, like, GM and maybe Master. We're not the most active on outside of tournaments. Yeah, dude, the bronze, silver, and gold categories, I've been seeing a lot of people play, and I'm really happy to see the lower level players take interest. But anyways, yes, hotly contested category, and by all means. And I believe the next question is related to this, if I'm not mistaken. Here we go. If answered no to the above question, how long should a person be out of a rank before considered eligible to participate again? And this was just, I was just trying to give a feeler here. I don't think there's anything like specific about this one too. It was just 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months. The majority says only 2 weeks because, you know, don't penalize someone forever, basically, when you're out of it. And I think it's kind of that case too. You just observe the best you can, and if you think the person belongs in it, they can play. If not, tell them to maybe take a back seat. Base it off of previous performance too. If they won the tournament in the past, maybe they should move up a division and try competing at the next level. Lunar says, feel like that comes back to the honor system stuff. I'm gold at the moment for a while, but we all know I'm higher than that. And yeah, that brings up a good point, Lunar, especially with a smaller community that can have people dip out here and there too, especially at certain ELO rankings. I would love to point this out. I think it was last month when it like a lot of the diamond players were in the lower plat ranking because there wasn't like too many higher or like the top of the top levels playing. We had a 100-point elo gap from like 1750 to 1850 that was completely empty, and it was just because, you know, inconsistency on people playing. And what I'm trying to get with that point is, like Lunar said, you can have that little bit of inconsistency to where you haven't been able to, you know, play someone at your level and maybe get the appropriate rank. Or people just have bad days in the first place too. Or good, really, really good days. Because I see people jump up and down 200 elo like every other week sometimes. With a smaller community though, it's like almost impossible to have like a completely accurate. And even like the most popular games like League and Valorant, even then your rank is still... I mean, it's kind of accurate, but it's still, you know, it can be affected by certain things. That's why, Domo, you bring up a good point. Which is why when I do seedings for lower tournaments too, I look at their rank and maybe ask a question or two if I don't see them. But I base a lot of it off of previous tournament results too. If I see someone who has participated before and has done extremely well, even if they're a lower rating at a time, I'll definitely nudge them up and give them a better seed for the tournament. Oh yeah, since you don't play like sets of matches, and literally one game, you can lose elo within 4 seconds if you actually just top out at the very beginning. It is so fickle. Yo, Foxy, congrats on your 100 points in Blitz chest, dude. Were you playing 5-minute, 1-minute intervals? Chess is ridiculous. Feel like the ranks here change much faster than in other games, so it makes it hard to use as a good metric. Totally agree, Leonard. I love this input because I think it's mostly, like we said a bunch of times before, mod discretion. That's pretty much what's going to come down to. 3-2. Is that 3-minute, 2-second increments? I wish I was a little bit well versed in chess. I watched it during the chess boom at the beginning of the pandemic. But me playing chess, that's a whole nother story. I think I'm like 400 or 300 elo. I'm such dog shit. I don't even know how to do openings. anyways, let's stay on topic. I think we only have like 1 or 2 more questions, and they're still related to this kind of same thing. Oh, okay, so our last one. This is where anything you guys on your mind about random stuff. I have a couple topics that are wrote off to the side too here. But yeah, this last section is any additional thoughts or topics you'd like to hear on stream. We have 5 responses. We'll try to go through each one by one, and I'll scroll down here. Here we go. top 8 for expert should definitely be possible in the future, as top 6 seems small and guarantees someone instant spot to the next round. Also, high golds that can compete really well with an average platinum player, probably too good for the novice league to compete. All right. That's very interesting. I will talk about this because we did have a little bit of confusion in the expert league, and I can probably bring up this document because I don't mind you showing. We cranked out some logistics for how the round robin to single elimination bracket would work for expert league, and essentially what it came down to was trying to prioritize playing around, what was it, a minimum of 4 games? Let's see, 5. Yeah, it was a minimum of 4 games, which the only reason it's like a top 6 is because there are scenarios based on entrance where there would be 2 groups, which you could do a top 8 from that. 3 groups, which you can't do a top 8 from unless you cut someone out of a random group and had like 2 wildcard things. But something else that I might rant about a little bit later with Challenge is not very customizable, and if we continue to use that, it's very hard to like have some flexibility if you are trying to just like, you know, let's say you have 3 groups and you have 2 people finish, top 2 finishers go on, and maybe you have a wild card for the last 2 spots. You could do that. You just have to make separate brackets, and it might be a little bit more work on the TOs. I'm going to talk more about websites a little bit later here, though. But my view on this was I did it as a percentage to where top 8's cool, but we had a lot of times where it was like a 9 or 10 entrant tournament, and we had 8 people move on, which just kind of seems silly. I mean, it made for seeding, but most of the time the Swiss was already seeded in the first place, so it's good because it got people more matches, of course. But for me, it didn't feel like you were accomplishing anything if I made top 8, but I only had to beat one other person to do it. I don't know. That's my personal view on it. I could be like way different in that kind of a thing. Smash GG Domo. That is an option. That's what League of Puzzle speedrunners are using for theirs. I don't have too much experience, at least organizing on that website, but I know it's very customizable and it could be an option. There's another thing of, are we going to lose players? Because I think everyone, if we switch to a different site, most likely would need to create an account and sign up on the website to participate rather than just react to a role. And that might scare away people. I don't know. I don't know what your opinion on, you guys, like if you had to create a whole new account and then go to a website and every month or like a couple times a month you wanted to participate in the tournaments, you had to type all this information, blah blah blah, versus the ease of just reacting to a role. How do you guys feel about that? That's the idea, Domo. For if the entrant count's too low for expert, it actually goes to just a round robin, just a 1 stage round robin by itself. It's basically, I think the layout is, and I'll probably grab it, 1 to 9 people is round robin. Then it's like 10 to 14 is 2 groups. 15 to 19 is 3 groups. 21 to 29 is 4, or 20 to 29 is 4 groups. 30 to, I think it was just 30 to 47 was 6 groups, and then the rest is double elim. I don't know. I can bring that up later and show it off. Yeah, it seems like every bracket software kind of has their issues. Challenge triggers me half the time. Even today I was trying to test some stuff. The website feels like it crashes every 5 minutes too, man. But it is very easy to use, which I like, and it's easy to access archives for it, especially with how established we've been using it for the past, what is that, 4 years now with our group? You just click our tournament page and view literally everything in the past. True, we can use paper, Yoshi. The superior way to run brackets right now. But that's my opinion. I mean, we could push for it because 8 is a clean number. It looks good. I'm like, because I think for the first tournament we had the top 9 for the 3 groups. So it looked a little bit weird having the qualifier at the beginning, but it was like, it was even and it was more fair seeding, because that's what I tried to base most of the stuff on, was trying to get the most fair matchups going in both groups, which is really, really hard, while preventing rematches, because I think, in my opinion, in a lot of other professional TOs, if you're doing a 2-group tournament, at least the first 2 rounds, depending on entrant count, you want to try to prevent rematches as much as possible, assuming you're not doing like a big Swiss or something at the beginning. I don't know. It's good to get fresh matches, in my opinion. But yeah, I think it's mostly that it said top 8 in the rules, which I will take blame for. I'm sorry that it confused people, but I do like the way we have it. I'll find that document later and show you guys too. I spent a lot of time on it, and maybe I can try to explain it a little bit for you guys. This thing we already talked about though with the golds, and it's funny because a lot of people did want this to keep the same, but maybe the ratings can be adjusted to it to allow it, because I do think, because with a tournament that can have 1500s and 900s, it's such a big gap, and that's why I like put it out in the first place to even bar golds from it. But I don't know, it's what everyone thinks if they're having fun in that kind of tournament, because it's like, it's full Swiss anyways, so most of the time, besides maybe the first round or 2, you're gonna get really even matchups. I don't know, it's a good thought. I appreciate this first comment here though, whoever left that one. All right, our second comment. The topic of a rank lower than bronze for those who really new to the game. We've talked about this a little bit in chat, and I agree, because bronze has a really big range, and I think that will probably get implemented in the future. I don't think we need to talk too much about it, but they're thinking of like wood or copper or something like that. I think that will probably come in the future. And Lunar, I totally agree with that too. It is much better, in which we'll look specifically at this question, because this is why I asked about the ratings. We'll see how these like 1200 to 1399 players voted on this specific question, because I think that's gonna like let us know more about it. Not gonna lie, I think people think of beginner as below 1500, intermediate as 15, 1650-ish, expert 1650, upward 75 below current thresholds, but don't line up with the ranks, so it feels more awkward. I totally agree with that, and which is why I wanted to push like saying the ratings more of it, because you can label a rank, but then the metagame changes to where the ranks probably need to be adjusted to different ranges. But I guess it's another thing of like ease of this tournament's suggested for this rank, so it's easier for people to get a feel of where they need to be. But yeah, I think the ratings are a little bit weird with those. Another kind of mod discretion kind of point there. I think experts should be double elim. More fun and fair that way. I like that idea. I don't know if it's... I think there's arguments to be had for double elim. It may be more fun and fair. Groups have been pretty chaotic though, and I kind of like that. I think the first 2 months for expert have been like some really close group matches, and I like especially since the people who are an expert that top level, that's their only tournament they can join in a month. So I like guaranteeing them at least 4 matches rather than going 0-2 in double elim. I do think there's definitely something to be said for it and can be considered down the road, but I do like what's going on right now for it. Yeah, Domo, it kind of is factored into your rank a little bit. So, like, the suggested right now is usually, like, novice, level 5 for the most part, but also level 8. Then intermediate, level 8 for the most part, sometimes 10. And then expert, always 10. Oh, that's a good point, Foxy. If they meant double elim for the finals, that could be interesting, but that might be a little bit of a time issue to where you run a group stage that's taking probably only about an hour, and single limb already, this depends if we're streaming all the matches too, can take up to like an hour and a half and 2 hours. If you do double elim and try to stream them all, that would be probably like 2.5 hours, in my opinion. Yeah, that's my problem. Like, you could like give so many more matches and make it much more fair and rank things way better as it is, but I don't want to take up too much people's times, especially for a monthly. It's like, you know, it's not the biggest tournament in the world. It's not like a world championship or anything. If you got unlucky, we had Swisses last year all the time. Foxy can attest to this. He went 2-3 and missed out on a bracket because he played like probably 2-4-1 and a 5-0 player that tournament. And, you know, that sucked. He didn't get a chance to redeem himself, but it was what it was. We did, actually, me and Foxy talked about that a little bit. So it lasted around 2 hours. What kind of feel do you like for a tournament, Razor, out of curiosity, or and anyone else? What's your ideal time for like a tournament? And that can change for the novice, intermediate, or expert. What kind of time ranges do you like? True, Domo. I've done that in the past too. It is a lot of work though. Like individually capturing matches and grabbing replays off the replay browser, which that's definitely an option, especially to fill up content space. You got to find that balance of trying not to throw too much more work on a lot of people too. Because I've been trying to recruit people to help out with stuff too. I just don't want to put too much on people's plates and, you know, make them be like, hey, do this, do this, do this. Spend all your free time helping us out. I mean, that I'm blowing that out of proportion because, you know, uploading replays isn't too time consuming. But I like that idea. That could definitely be something. Speaking of which, anyone in chat, if you want to help out with tournaments in the future, DM me anytime. Because I'm happy to help people train to run the stream, to commentate, to run brackets. The more help, the better. You wouldn't have to commit much, because if we're shooting for 2-hour tournaments 3 times a month, 2 hours out of your month to help out, we would much appreciate it. Just DM me about that later, then we could talk about stuff. Yeah, Razor has reached out, and I appreciate that. I will get back to you soon about that, Razor, by the way. Anyways, let's move on to our next comment. I think this is our second to last one. Meme Tourneys, Maso Panels, Combo Chain Only, Survival on Training Mode with Block X. This is actually a really good point, that we have a 4th weekend freed up, and I would love to open that up to the community, to anyone who has a meme. Oh, I don't want to... exposed the last one yet. Anyone who has ideas for a Goofy tournament or like a Panel to Pawn tournament, bring those back, or like Time Attack tournament. If Pokemon Puzzle League comes to the Switch, maybe we run a tournament on there. I don't have high hopes because the online for the rest of the games have been kind of dog shit, but you know, I'm so open to the idea. I think as mods we have to let people know that's an option for people so that we can allow that to happen and, you know, give people the reins and host it how they want. Because I think the GCT's tournament that he hosted for that was a pretty fun tournament, and I bet people would love to do that again and try out other silly stuff. Domo, if you can just find me on Discord and send me a message if you want to do it, or just type in like tournament chat or something in the Tetris Attack Online Discord. If you don't have me added, it is BB4key6225, I think. I don't really know because it hides it on streamer mode. Let me paste in chat. Yeah, there we go. If you do want to DM me, there's my Discord. Oh yeah, the legendary 5th Saturday, which does happen every once in a while. I'm totally down. The community, even if it's on a weekday, like, I will never discourage anyone. We only have Saturdays only for a couple hours. If people want to showcase and run more tournaments, have at it. I'm so down for it. Maybe I'll try to advertise that more. Maybe on tournament sign-up, say, if we have an event for it, we advertise it. If we don't, we'll be like, we have this spot free. If you have an idea and want to run a tournament of your kind, let us know. Or if we notice, hey, time trial hasn't happened in a while, and people have been buzzing and playing that, let's make a tournament for that happen. Dude, a doubles tournament, Domo, I just scrolled up and read that, would be actually pretty cool. I think that's a great idea. Also, thanks for the compliment. You guys are too nice, too nice. But I appreciate it. You guys have given such great ideas today. I'm glad a lot of you showed up and have been talking about this. I'm really excited because this is like, tournaments are my babies for the scene. As if you guys know the history of me, like, I started running the LPS tournaments back in like 2016, all the speedrun tournaments, and let Cards take those over. And then I started the tournament scene that happened here too, and I'm so glad to be involved in it again. So I just want to try to make things a lot better with all your help. Make it a team effort. All right, we have one more comment to share, so let's get to that. The more accessible we can make future tournaments for newcomers to our server, the more diverse we'll have a PvP tournament scene on different skill levels. I couldn't agree more with this. This is just a great comment. And that is the, like, the number one bullet point we should never lose focus on is accessibility, making everyone feel welcome, making everything feel fair, everything fun. That's what we want at the end of the day. Have fun, be competitive at the same time. You know, and enjoy a game that we've loved for over 20 years now. That is a great question, Foxy, and I'm glad you did it. I wanted to do the stream today just for ease of access and showing it off, and plus we'll have this archive to be referenced later on. But if you guys, I love having an open forum later on too, and we can host a voice call where people can join in and talk about it, what they want. You are a production guy though, Domo. Please hit me up because I think we might need your help for future expert tournaments, actually. That is the exact response that I needed. So I might hook you up and maybe train you for a little bit of a restreamer position, assuming you'd be free. But that would be so cool, Domo. Anyways, though, that is it for this. We said I wanted to check one last thing with some individual responses. So we're going to be looking at the thresholds for the novice tournament. Most voted keep the same. We're going to look for the green responses and the yellow responses pretty much. So let's go through a couple of these. 16, 16, 1200 to 1399. Do you think... Where was it? I don't think they voted on this one, actually. Unless I missed it. Oh, right here. My bad. Change, yes. So that was a lower rated player who voted change. Another low rated player. Keep the same, so 1-to-1 there. This is the higher gold area. Keep the same as well for that. Keep the same. It looks... Well, those are 2 higher golds in a row, so that kind of makes sense. Lower gold here. Change to silver. That's 1800 and above. We don't need to look at their opinion for that question. Change to silver and lower. That was the 1200 slot as well. No rating. You know what? Why not? Keep the same. We'll check out the no rating guy. Another 1400. Keep the same. Below 1200. This is an interesting one. Change to silver and lower. Below 1200. Change this. Okay. We see the trend there. So let's go back to the summary. This group, I think 3 of the 4 wanted to change. And I believe this group, all 3 wanted them to keep the same. So I think there's definitely something to be said with the results there. And maybe it does need to be adjusted, but maybe it doesn't need to be a full 150 elo to it. So that, you know, there's not people who are way above a 1000 or 1100 skill level. That's an interesting one. Because, I mean, that's why I posed the question. Like I said before, I analyzed it. I'm like, this is 1574 and below. We have, like, a potential 600 elo difference in this tournament. Which, I mean, that's not unheard of because, you know, open brackets exist for several games. And you'll get a first rounder, best player in the world, playing against a guy who picked up controller for the first time. But I think there could be some discussion there for it to be at least lowered a little bit. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go back and look at those. And I want to look at all the 1600 to 1799 responses and see if they, like, change to silver. See what their response is, even though they're not participating in those tournaments. Keep the same. This one's probably going to be, like, very even is my guess. Keep the same. And I think this is the last one. Keep the same. All right, that was a 3-to-1. Oh, one more. Keep the same. 4-to-1. All right. So, well, we definitely see the trend there. Oh, whoops. Oh, yeah, right here. This was 4-to-1. So, yeah, trend is keep the same and then change on this top half. Makes sense. Oh, that goes without a doubt, Foxy. He said in chat, but I think if we lower the novice threshold, we should also lower the intermediate thresholds. I would agree. It would go hand in hand for sure there, in my opinion. I don't think, not only with the help, I think 4 tournaments is just a little bit overkill. I love being super, super accommodating, but tournaments are competitive at the end of the day, and we don't need to, like, go that in depth. I mean, I could be persuaded at a later date, but I think for now 3's pretty fine. But 4 can work. I know the Puyo scene did 4 tournaments for a good amount of time too, if they had enough entrants. But at that point, it depends on your player base too, because if you guys didn't know, we used to run 3 divisions back in the day too, but sometimes, like for our novice division, for instance, we only got 2 or 3 people, so they were just forced to go and play up in intermediate for the day because there wasn't enough people. And I think if we split that much, there could be a case to be had with that sometimes. Those were all simultaneous as well. Honestly, I think this is a conversation for next year, though. I don't think this would be implemented at all this year. I'd be totally down to run the simultaneous tournaments again, just for 2 reasons. You have them all on the same day. You have your division still, and then you pick and choose one, kind of. So that one kind of like locks people into a division, more or less, which could be good or bad. But the reason I like the simultaneous ones is you can run 2 a month, and then you run one at a time zone earlier in the day and one at a later in the day to accommodate people. So that way, you know, I think the issue right now is the expert tournament's kind of late for the European crowd. So, and that tournament's been static right now. So some people have probably just been missing the tournament every month just because the time's too late for them. And that's why I like simultaneous tournaments, because, like, you know, the first weekend of the month, let's say all the tournaments happened at, 12 p.m. Eastern. So EU crowd's loving it. Even the US is kind of loving it. Maybe Japan crowd's not too happy. But then the second time you run it that month, it's a much later evening slot. So it's a little bit rough for EU, but then Asian crowd's more suited for that. Things like that. But I don't think we're going to do simultaneous tournaments. Maybe not at all, but we're not going to change this format probably until like next year, I would say. Because I don't want to be changing things all the time so people don't know what to expect. I want it to be semi-consistent. News survey is up and hashtag surveys. I will actually check this out right now. Oh, there we go. If you guys are interested in chat right now, James just said, we want to introduce a new rank for players rated below 1075. What should it be named? So if you want to vote for the name of the new rank, check out surveys and get your vote in for that. Lots of good ones here. Wood, sprout, brick, copper, clay, seedling, iron, ceramic, apprentice, flint, and pewter. Cool. Thanks a lot for that, James. I have chat minimized for a second. All right. Anyways, I will hide this for a second. Let's spectate another match while I'm setting up. For a second, we'll do Ty and Master Shadow. All right. This is a quick diagram. I want to showcase something that maybe not most of you talked about, but it's something I noticed that was a little bit unfortunate from last month and maybe could have had an impact. So let me do this once again. All right. This is from the expert tournament that just happened. And this was the group stage. And I'm already looking in to make changes to this because the way it decided this, at least the way I'm interpreting it, is really, really dumb. And I'll be honest, I think I got lucky here, and I probably shouldn't have been second seed. But by the way that Challenge did the tiebreakers for this tournament, it happened. So let me explain and give you some context for Group B. Everyone here played each other once, and Arisu went 5-0, and then Lean Sanker lost to their respective opponents here. But we had an interesting thing that does happen in group stage a lot when you have 3-way ties. They're very, very common, actually. If tiebreakers do happen, a lot of the times it is a 3-way tie in round robin. And that's because player A beats player B beats player C, but then player C beats player A. So what happened here was I beat Ty beat Serena beat me. Everyone's tied. The default tiebreaker is number of match wins against the tied opponent, which everyone had one, so this gets ignored. Set wins, same, set ties. So went to this tiebreaker called points, was just the points that you did. And it so happened I won 18 points, they won 17 and 17. So I got second seed here. And since Ty and Serena were both tied here, I'm pretty sure Challenge just said the player with the higher seed moves on here, which is pretty scuffed in my opinion. So Serena kind of got screwed over based on just being a lower seed than Ty at this tournament, which you can always make the argument, you know, play better than you would have made it into the tournament anyways. But it is kind of a really shitty way to look at it. I will be looking, because Challenge is a little bit weird. I can't set exactly what I want, but we're looking to do either a points differential tiebreaker for one of these slots, or like a points percentage. Like, example, I did the math here. I went 18 and 17 overall. Serena went 17 and 16. So despite me having more points won, Serena actually had a slightly better percentage. Because it was, what, 17 divided by 33 as opposed to 18 divided by 35. I played 2 extra rounds because of that. But you can make an argument Serena could even deserve a spot over that. And I saw that. I don't think Serena complained in chat too. Good on her. Because I probably would have been a little bit pissed being like, what the fuck? These numbers are all the same and I don't make the top bracket. And I was too engulfed in playing that I didn't get enough time to analyze it. So this, I just want to show people this because this happened and it could happen again in the future. And I'm looking on a way to correct that. I'm looking at points differential being a tiebreaker and maybe the game win percentage. But it's like a big workaround the way Challenge makes you do it. Because you have to go and select one of these rounds and click best of in order for them to count as separate match wins, and you have to, it's so tedious, you have to like put in, instead of reporting the score as 5-0, you'd have to report the score as 1-1-1-1-1-1-1, or if it went to 9 games you'd have to type in 1 9 times. It's so inconvenient. So that's why I get mad at Challenge, and we could explore different opportunities, but I like the React roles in chat, had the ease of access for people joining the tournament. So that's why I put up with Challenge for now. But yeah, I wanted to show that off, give some transparency, say a little bit sorry to Serena too, because she didn't react and maybe took it with grace, but I could understand if she was a little bit peeved after seeing like literally the same results there. And it almost happened here too, but a score got reported wrong. It was, I forget, I think it was Pokemaster Shadow over Mado, and these guys had a 3-way tie too, but that score wasn't reported wrong, or else we maybe could have had a similar situation there. But we're working on tiebreakers. If you guys have ideas for it, I mean, I think I'm pretty much know what I'm going to do now, because I base it off of other esports and even some professional sports out there. Because I like to study this stuff in my free time and have a pretty good idea for it. But we will get this solved. This hopefully will not happen again. Otherwise, I will keep this stream up here. We're just going to be spectating their game. I have a couple more topics, I think, on my notepad that we've probably talked about a little bit. But if you guys have anything else on your mind, it is a great time to do it now. What were my bullet points? Best of 1 sets between tied opponents. Foxy, honestly, I love that. Like, a little playoff bracket. But that becomes the thing with Challenge again, too. I mean, it's so frustrating because we did you know how we did, like, wild cards for LPS tournaments in the past? And because of that, we had to make 2 separate brackets on Challenge. And it's kind of a little bit annoying because the first one you make, you don't fill out the second part of it. And it just, when you go back and look at the archives, it just says in progress still, even though the tournament ended like 5 years ago. Which, it's annoying in that aspect. And that's why I would love probably to go to Smash GG, because you can keep that all on one page for it. I don't think it's like a deal breaker, but that is something you could do, and that would fit if people do like the top 8 format and stuff like that. Doing separate brackets could help fit that a little bit more too, and then you could do like little tiebreakers, little playoff matches at the end of groups if people are tied. Then again, it comes down to another time issue too, because you finish group stage, and if you have a 3-way tie, and you got to play, what would that be? 3 more matches in total there. You said best of 1, like just like a first game killer and pretty much end it there. I mean, that's pretty brutal, but it could be an option, especially if you wanted to save time in that regards. I think there is some good topic to talk about that, because tiebreakers are always, there are so many different ways you can approach it. So I'm always open for that. It is hype for sure. I think that could be something that changes first, Foxy, and we should talk about that next month. I think we're going to stick with the system for sure this month, just to not shake up and cause too much work as we're approaching the new month already. But we should talk about how we want to implement that, because with the high plat to low diamond range, there's going to be a lot of swapping like that in the future. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of like tiebreakers. Dude, what's the score? Good question, Yoshi. I wish I still had the replays for that and watch me get whooped like 5 billion times in a row. Alright, so I had ease of sign up wrote down, which kind of ties into the website and things like that. I just explained the tiebreakers and formats. And then the only thing, I did mention this briefly, times. What do you guys think? Because we have current times, we have different times set for all the tournaments. And we've alternated in the past. I don't know if it's a smart idea to change the time each month, and people might get confused and alter it. But I know, like I said earlier, like EU people kind of get shafted hard on the like expert tournament timing because it's so late in the evening. I don't know. What do you guys think overall on the consensus of our current times for the tournaments, if you have an opinion? I think it's fine, because we made the late tournament happen to accommodate the Japanese crowd, who have a pretty heavy presence, I'd say, in the expert tournament. And it helps that it's on Saturday, so you know, I mean, people have jobs, so they're probably like going to bed early if they, you know, had to work early on the weekday. But it does help that you have some leeway, and most people, I assume, aren't working on a Sunday. So you got a little bit of room to stay up late. Is it not written down? Oh, it's not in the rules. That's a good idea, James. It should be wrote down in the rules. It changed at the beginning of the year and so far has been consistent. The times, if you guys are unaware right now, I'm going to say this in Eastern time, but it is 1 p.m. for novice, 3 p.m. for intermediate, and 5 p.m. for experts. So they kind of just layer down as you get up. Oh, thank you, Foxy. You made a lot of good points, and I'm glad you could stick around and give your input, because I know you're obviously heavily into the tournament scene, so it's great to hear from you. But I might be making a bigger issue than it is. But it's kind of like just observing some comments I see in chat, like specifically the EU crowd. I'll see, ooh, this is a late one for me. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it. And that's when, in the back of my head, I'm kind of like, a bummer, man. Is there any way we can fix this without screwing over any other players? It's kind of just like little things like that. But I think, I mean, that pretty much wraps it up for me. I don't know if you guys have anything else. I covered my big points. We're going to have signups tomorrow. I don't know I'm gonna be working on rewriting the rules, like a TLDR for the Discord, and then a more expanded one in a document that outlines like tournament format and things like that. I don't know if anyone's interested in seeing the scenarios of the expert seeding, how like the guideline, what we do for that. I won't show it on chat since I'll probably be ending or on stream since I'm gonna be ending soon. But if you are curious and you want to see the like scenarios for it, let me know and I can like grab you some screenshots or like talk it through for you in like private or something like that. But yeah, I believe that's it for me. I want to thank anyone who did fill out the survey. This was such a big help, and I think I did get a better understanding of what the community thinks of certain things. And I'm getting a better idea of how to proceed with stuff. I don't think anything is super clear, and there are many different ways to approach stuff, but it gives us ideas to experiment and hopefully just get a better tournament experience for everybody. So, yeah, thanks once again to everyone who did fill that out. Thanks again to anyone who has been chatting along with this whole thing and sticking around and hearing out all the ideas. All the information that's been said during this stream today has been excellent. Like, you guys definitely delivered. If you signed out the form too, even better. I'm glad you could help on both regards. Like, taking that time to help out the community, I'm always much appreciative of that. But, yeah, that'll do it for me. Keep an eye out. Sign-ups are tomorrow. I don't know if Buster's going to be doing a stream on Sunday. He likes to do that sometimes, so stick around for that. Otherwise, I will give you a date of the next official stream on this channel, which should be Saturday, March 5th for the Novice Tournament. So keep an eye out for that. The 12th will be the Intermediate. The 19th will be the Expert. And then maybe, who knows, we might have a silly tournament for the 4th Saturday that month. Reach out to me if you guys have ideas. I guess that'll be it. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you soon. Oh, let's find someone to raid really quick, though. See if anyone's playing Puzzle League, because we have qualifiers going on. I want to shout out League of Puzzle Speedrunners. Qualifying is almost done. If you like speedrunning this game or want to get a part of it, contact me as well for that. I can give you details really quick. Not too late to join. But support the people who are in that tournament, too. A bunch of cool guys over there. They cross over and play PvP, too. Shoutouts to Lunar. Shoutouts to Foxy. Shoutouts to Ty. A bunch of others, too. Just to name a couple quick names there. Who's streaming? My following list is so disorganized right now. I don't know if anyone's streaming. No one's streaming. No. Okay, we're just gonna end it. Yo, shoutouts to Yoshi. Sorry, Yoshi. My best friend, dude. Not my old friend, my best friend. Who has never beaten me in tournament. I have a 100-0 record on Yoshi. Maybe I'll just send you guys over to... Someone's playing Dr. Mario. Oh, I'll send you guys over to Frank. I love Frank. And he's a badass at Dr. Mario. So go check him out. Alright, thanks for watching, guys.